Hey, what's up, guys? Out here in the shop today. I'm fitting up a deck lid on this car. Me and the boss, he's out here helping me out. I figured I'd go over a couple things and maybe throw a couple things out there that might give you guys some pointers on fitting some stuff up. If it helps you, great. If not, I'm sorry. I'll try to make another video in the future when I do a bigger project like doors or a front end or something like that. But I'll flip the camera around. Here we go. So we have a Harwood fiberglass deck lid. Sean brought me this. I don't know if he purchased it used or new or whatever, but it still had a lot of the packaging edges on it and whatnot. You have to trim the edges down. So these gaps that we have here and here are as best as we're going to get with these. We can't get them any tighter because this is where the body line rolls off. So if we had more real estate to trim this back, we could have got this a lot tighter. But so when I fit these up, I prop some things under the edges, or in this case, I have to use tape on a bunch of spots to hold it up because there's nothing to support it with by the time I cut the trunk support out on a car that we're building this light. But down here on the edge, when you're trimming these up, you want to match this face up right here the best you can, the best it will allow you. And then they have this packaging lip here that runs all the way down the bottom. So in a car like this, if you were to cut this right here along this body line all the way down, you'll have a big air gap underneath and it'll look like crap. So there's a couple things you can do. You can bend up a piece of sheet metal underneath, which we're gonna do anyway to fill this in. So if you look up, that's hollow. You can see the bottom supports of the fiberglass. So we're gonna end up bending something to cover that up and help stop some of the smoke. But for dress up purposes from the back side of the car, you could just trim this and just keep trimming it and keep fitting it. I mean, this thing's probably about 3/8 deeper, maybe a little less than 3/8 deeper than it is now when you get it from Harwood. So you mark your lines and you just keep shaving it off. I use a right angle die grinder with like a 36 grit wheel, and then I get everything nice and close, and then I block sand it flat from there and I just keep watching my edge. So that's slow and steady. You don't want to go fast on that because you can always take more away. You can't put any back on. But I'm going to lift the deck lid off and show you what we have underneath. So I don't know if you guys could tell, but from the other videos, the deck lid area has been cut even more in this area. There used to be a fold in here, and we completely cut that out. I did all that yesterday, got that prepped up right before I went in for the night. And then I came out and I started fitting the Racecraft Zeus rails up. These fit real nice. We also make a set of these as well. Sean brought these over with the deck lid. But what I do to fit these guys up is I take a piece of 1/8 inch plate, just your standard hot or cold roll 1/8 inch plate, and I hold that up along here, and I get my height and I move it down, and then I mark it or I'll tack it as I have it in my hand, all up and down the quarter panel. So how I usually start these is I'll do this with one hand, but I'll get the plate and I'll get the height, and then I'll grab my other hand and I'll grab my TIG torch and I'll just fuse the tack in the front, and then I'll pull it up relatively where I like it, see how the back matches up, do the same thing back here. I'll pull this up and I'll fuse the tack back on that side, and then I'll put the deck lid back on and I'll check my my height all along here. So if the height looks good, then I'll leave it, and then I'll keep fabbing and doing some things until it's time to stitch these in. But in my case, I had to break the tacks on the center on this side and the center on that side, and then move them up a hair just because of the way the deck lid contours. So what I do is I actually, instead of using like a pen scribe, because they have the scribe in the end, it's only about that long, and then they get wider. I sharpen a piece of tungsten, and I take the piece of tungsten and I go up underneath with the deck lid sitting on, and I raise it to the height that I want, and then I scribe underneath in various areas, and then I come back around and I'll pinch this up to my scribe line and I'll tack weld it in 2 spots. And then I'll come back in, and after the top plates are welded in, and I'm gonna have some chromoly stubs coming off the cage to the windshield or the rear window support. And after that's all done, I'll put the other Zeus mounts up here, And then after everything's mounted and everything's fitted side to side, I'll tape the deck lid down to the quarter panels, and I'll go up underneath and I'll draw the hole locations for the Zeus fasteners, and that's where I'll punch my holes. But I'll turn the camera around and show you how this sits to the quarter panel with the Zeus rails installed. All right, so here's with the deck lid back on again. As you can see, it follows the quarter panel line real nice, doesn't poke over the top. On the back side, it doesn't go past the back side. Everything's fitted up good. I still have a little bit more massaging to do on the fiberglass before I call it good. But I just wanted to show you there's always some sort of imperfections, or for the most part, there's always an imperfection somewhere on the composites themselves. In the back here, this looks like it's high over the quarter panel, but when you push down on it and you get down to the level of the panel, it's not. The Zeus will pull that down. I have a feather carbon on my car, and the wings in the back by the cowl, it actually flips up and it curls pretty bad. So we had to use a heat gun and move that around a lot, and that kind of sucked, but it is what you keep nudging me. You want to talk? You want to tell them what's up? That's what I thought. All right, so back to this, sorry. The fit up and everything, when it's final, like I said, if there's a little whip to it, no big deal. It will pull down if you can get everything relatively close with it. But you don't want to look over the kerf of the body lines and see anything poking up. Like you just see in the yellow down there on the quarter panel, but it all rolls in. It's the same thing on the other side. There's no big transformation, no high, no low spot. You want it to, even if you get your piece of metal that you used for the height of your Zeus rail, you can just ever so slightly roll that over the top. And if it doesn't catch or it doesn't wobble over it, you know you got a good height. Your eye visual is your best, but just use tape. Try to tape everything in place so you have your marks every time. You can use a Sharpie oil-based marker so you can see it through the black and the yellow. Put tape down, or just scribe across it so you don't lose your location where you fitted it up from last time. But what I was talking about, when I go under the Zeus rails, I scribe it with a piece of tungsten. And the reason I do that is because there's no big body like a pen tungsten where it just sticks out like that far on the end, and the rest of it's pen body. This is nice because, here, I'll show you. I'll try to get under here real quick and show you. So with this, when you lay this up underneath the Zeus rail, say you got to break these tacks here and here, and you got to raise it up. The issue with a pen one is you can get stuck in here trying to hold it, and it'll hold it off of your foam support or even your hand, and it'll make you like scribe it on a weird angle. So with this, you can get it up in the pocket real nice, and you can scribe it back and forth, and then you can hold the line of where you visually want the tack or the body of the Zeus rail to contact your scribe line, and you'll hold it from up top, and you'll retack it real fast. So that's just something that I've had to learn to do, and it's just kind of like common sense stuff. But not saying anybody doesn't have common sense, but it just helps out when you're in a pinch and you're trying to get something and you can't, you need like 6 hands and you only have 1 free. So I just figured that was a good little tech tip on it, and this is what I use to trim the carbon and the fiberglass for the most part. Is just a little CP mini whizzer with a 36 grit pad on the end. I just take a little bit off at a time, and that's the same thing I used for this. When I fitted all this up, you can see this fits up real nice to here. All right, dude. All right. We'll go in a second. This fits up real nice to here. Back in the areas here, wherever it needed some massaging, you just take a little bit out. And they also, files come in handy too for this type of stuff. Real good. When you use a file, it takes, a minimal amount of material out. But what I didn't show in the last video, so I had to fit it up, but I didn't have it done yet, was the outer halo. So I do have the outer halo in the car now. We're just either later on tonight or tomorrow or something, I'll do the window net mount. But that's in the car. If you look at the outer and inner halo bars, they hide behind each other, which is real nice. So when you look outside of the car, like this bar is not tilted forward or back or too far. Sometimes to get more driver clearance, we will actually tilt these back farther, depending on the size of the driver or where the seat's located. So if the back bars in the halo are flat, to the main hoop. Sometimes it's more beneficial to move that on an angle back into the closer to the crotch here of the door bar in the main hoop. But in this case, we didn't have to. But it follows that bar real nice, the upper faces of both bars. And then also the helmet guards follow on the exact same angle too and give it a real nice look. But that's where we're at with that. I just figured I'd share that with you guys. So, all right, so real quick before I put this back on, here's another little tip for you. So I measured the holes in the Zeus rails, and they are 0.687. So I scribed these in the areas that you could see the marker doesn't exactly line up with the scribes, but the scribe is a lot more true because it's short, and the marker I'm using, well, here's another color, but here the size of this doesn't exactly get up in the body holds too well. It just shows up on the composite real nice. So I got a scribe up in there just to make sure they were nice and true. But to find the center of that, what you do is you see the little white portion there. You'll slide this over, and this is the same, basically exactly the same diameter as that scribe hole. You'll slide that over. You get it nice and perfect around the scribe hole. And if you look, you can just see the scribe hole sneak out around the flange of that nut. And then you'll hold that down with your finger as best you can. Don't let your finger get in the way, and then you'll drop your Sharpie down in there, and then you'll wiggle it around, but make sure you keep the Sharpie 90, because if you bend it a little bit, it'll be all messed up. If you let it ride the kerf of that hole, it will end up being a perfect center hole, and then you end up with that right in the center. All right, so that's where we're at so far with all this. I appreciate you guys for viewing this. Hopefully something I said in this video helps you out. If not, hopefully the next video will give you a little more advice and, help on whatever you're trying to do. But me and the boss are gonna go inside. We're gonna get some food. He's grumpy, hungry. But if you can, comment, like, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys viewing this if you're viewing it, and take care.